Pink Poodle Crafts, join the Poodle Pack. It's time to get creative and make you laugh. Make your own art today. Pink Poodle Crafts is the way.
What a good boy. Hello, Poodle Pack friends. How you guys doing today? Today I've come on to try and use up some things that I have an abundance of, like scraps. And I know that in the years past, I've done a lot of stuff using up a lot of scraps. And since then, I haven't done it in a while, and I've regained more scraps. And I'm tired of having lots of scraps. Not really, but they do take up space. So I've got fabric scraps, I've got hot glue, and why not make some embellishments of some sort? Just kind of throwing together some stuff with some remnant pieces of fabric, that I have laying around, that you guys probably have laying around, that maybe it'll inspire you to take out your scraps and just sit and play. I mean, that's really what you can do with them. I mean, I have like an entire bag of, nope, not that bag. This bag. I have bunches of stuff in here that's just stuff that was given to me and scrap pieces of things. And I mean, I'm sure I can find some things to make with this yummy goodness that I've got sitting over here. I mean, just dig out some things and, make something. It doesn't have to be, all perfect and perfectly put together, but I guarantee you could probably find some good things in your scrap piles if you sit down and just start pulling out some stuff. I'm pretty sure of it, at least anyway. So let's start with some things. Ooh, get off. This is like on my finger. Get off. It's attacking me. It's like, please use me. Okay, so I've got this. I got some stuff out before. I got a piece of this like canvasy type material. And so what I was thinking was I can grab like a piece off of this. Now Tigger's laying on my fabric. Great. Tigger, no. Don't do that. Pain in my butt. As soon as I come over here to do something, he was laying nice in his bed the whole time. Second I come over here to do something, there he is. Starting trouble. I probably should have ripped it so I can get more fringiness, because I kind of like the fringiness. So, but you just start yanking at the threads and a lot of fabrics will fringe all nice for you. And so I start off usually with some sort of square. It doesn't have to be perfect, just a cut into a square-ish kind of pattern. You can do it with a round. It doesn't matter. You can do it with an oblong, weird piece. It doesn't matter. Whatever strikes your fancy. Yeah, that's good. And I'm not doing a sewn version because you don't have to, and it's not necessary. One thing I can do is if I'm going to do a vintage piece, this is coffee dye, and it's got a little bit of walnut stain, that liquid spray stuff, a little bit of that to darken it up, but in a really cruddy bottle. So I'll do that to it, since it's, and then just I'm just like literally making a mess. That's all I'm, really doing here. I'm not trying to make it look all kinds of fancy. Just making a mess. Let me grab this piece of lace, and I'll use it to sop up what I got going on here, just for poops and gigs. case I need to use this. Use it to clean my desk first. Alright, let that dry a minute. Let me grab a butt wipe. Wipe off my hands and my desk, and then we can dry that piece with the heat gun real quick like. Give it a quick dry. Now this is heavy fabric, so I can hold it in my hand to dry it. But I don't like leaving it laying on the thing while I dry it, because the other side gets condensation. It stays wet longer. So if worse comes worse and you don't have, you have a thinner piece of fabric, or you don't want to put it in your hand, just lay it on loosely on another piece of fabric. Try to crinkle it up maybe so that it gets a little air underneath of it. And this way it'll dry faster. Now what I want to do is put some spots on here, like that, and dry them in. Still a little damp, but we'll dry it just a little longer. And even crinkle it up a little bit. Give it some wrinkle to it. Alright, good enough. Now we've got old wrinkly piece of fabric. Let's see. I got this. This here was a part of a sample fabric type of thing, and we can use a piece of it. It's kind of coming off, so we're just gonna, maybe I'll just kind of let it be jaggedy a little bit. I'm just hacking at it here. I figured, why not? Why not? I don't think this is the type that can fringe. If it does, great. Oh, it does a little bit, I guess. It does a little bit. Oh, you know what works good for fringing, I've found? Is this tool here. This is like a Tonic Studios Tim Holtz tool. And I found that, like, if you want to fringe denim and stuff, I scrape this along the sides of it. So let's give that a try. Yeah, that's working pretty good. Makes it easier to fringe certain fabrics that have that ability to be fringed. Just, ooh, this one has, the strings are in there pretty good, which is kind of cool. just making it look tattered and old. Like me. I'm going to be 47 in less than a week. Yikes. What did I do to deserve that? Alright, so we got a piece there. Now I have some eyelash trim. This is a wad of this one's actually not as bad as the other one. Why is there a snowman stuck to my thing? I don't know. This one, I have one that's like really tangled. This one's not so bad. But I love eyelash trim, and I like, you know, having eyelash trim underneath of things. So I might take a bit of this. I probably just grabbed too much, but that's okay. That's okay. Maybe we'll, well, we already have the lace done. I mean, it all doesn't have to be coffee dyed, so that doesn't really matter. So maybe what I'll do is cut that in half, because I probably don't need the whole thing. And I just made all the little fringes come out. And now it's obviously not stuck down yet, but I'll worry. This is just like the dress rehearsal. I'm just kind of checking and seeing what I like and what I don't like. So I can throw a little bit of that down. Maybe throw a little bit of that down. Let's see. I'll probably even throw a little of this down. If we plant it in the right places, it would stick out that way nice. Cool, I kind of like that. Right, so that's easy peasy. And we can worry about topping it off with other things and adding things to it. But I think that's pretty much what I like. I might actually put this underneath of this piece here. So what I'm going to do is take my hot glue. And I don't usually tack down the entire thing. I usually just put some glue in the center of it and flop it down like that. And hot glue will hold to fabric real well, especially if you push it down a little bit. It will grab into those fibers and you ain't never going to get it apart. So that's the good thing about hot glue on fabric, is it works good as a, you know, as a means of holding some fabric together. Now I'm going to put this in here for the time being, because then I'm going to go in with some glue. See how I have the little fringy sticking out. And it doesn't matter that I used, you know, that I cut it, because I can just go in and add another piece and you'd never know it. And stick it like that, and just whatever, I'll just stick the whole thing under there. So in order to tack that down, now I'll pick up the sides here, and what I'll do is I'll put glue on here and then push it down on top of the stuff. Let me scroll in a little bit here. Pushing it in on top of the eyelash trim to make it kind of adhere that way. I might have to take the autofocus off and slightly move the camera a little bit, because I'm probably going to go off kilter here. Where did I do that at? Right there. Okay, so, but you don't want to ever touch the top of the hot glue gun onto the eyelash trim, because it'll yank all your eyelash trim up, because it'll get stuck to it. So put it on the back of the fabric underneath and just do it in little spots, and try to keep it away from the eyelash trim as much as you possibly can by maybe like holding down the, I have to adjust it here for a second so that the eyelash bits are pointing in the right direction. And then I can sometimes it can be a little tricky, and I'm not staying on camera very well, which is why I don't zoom in generally. There we go. Just find a spot to lift without lifting all of your eyelash trim up. You can pull it out just a little bit. and go in and just smush it down onto the eyelash trim. And that's the best way to do it. You don't have to worry about getting every little side, because once it's down, I mean, once you've got it down, you know, in most places, it ain't just gonna come flying out. So there's that so far. Now, I think we had this on here, and this on here like that, and then this on here or something, I believe. I forget, so we're just gonna wing it. Can't really see that, so we're gonna adjust it so you can. Otherwise, what's the point? So something like that. Now, in this case, since I have all these down like this, what I can do is just tack down. Actually, you know what? I might not need that one. It might be too much to add that. So I might just do that instead and try to kind of find a way. Yeah, that might be good enough. I don't really need that. I might use a different lace instead. So now if like I have a couple pieces layered and that's where I want them to be, I'll pick up I'll hold the top piece while I pick up underneath, and I'll just kind of throw some glue on that piece, and then I'll start tacking down bits of the lace on top of this. It's very quick, very easy. Just do little bits at a time so you don't like have to, you know, you don't have to rush it like I am. I'm just trying to show you that it's very quick and easy to do. And if you like that kind of messy mishmash type of look with your, you know, with your embellishments and things like that, this is how to get it, is to not think. And that's, I think, a lot of problems that people have is they sit and they fuss way too much, and it, you know, it ends up not looking as good if you fuss too much. I think you get a better look if you spend less time fussing, more time doing, which is spray bottle. Terrible. I'm just going to put some down in a puddle. But I don't need all of this dyed in case I don't want it all dyed, so I'm just going to dye a section of it. And then I'll just grab this lace and throw it back in there to sop it up. Just keep doing that. Utilizing that piece of lace. Now I can tap it off a little bit and then dry it. Okay, and now I can take that and maybe I'll just use half of it. Get off of me. Maybe I'll put that there. And I'm just kind of like looking around going, where can I put that I'll like it, you know. I think I like it over here, so I'm just gonna put it down there, whatever. Doesn't need to be perfect. We're just putting stuff down. It's just scraps. It's not like, I try to emphasize the fact that these are just scraps. They're stuff that was leftover trash. Do you know what I'm saying? If you don't do something like this with them, there's not a whole lot you can do with them, you know? So this is the point of it, is so that you have these that you would have normally thrown away maybe. And instead you keep those little, I keep anything that's, you know, when I snip something, I keep all these little pieces and I put them in this little, like a little container, and then I end up emptying it once it's full into a bigger bag. So some people might think, oh, that's ugly. Okay, well, then maybe that's not your style. I mean, it might not be everybody's style, but there are ways to do it, you know, different, I could show some examples of that, but, you know, right now, I'm just playing, you know, and if you've got things like, I've got all these, like, filigrees and little metal things and whatnot, if you've got anything like that, it doesn't have to be these, it could be buttons, which is, like, you know, a great idea, you know, but you could take, I might need one that's a little bit more solid, but you could take one of your filigrees or, you know, something and just throw it on there. I mean, that's what embellishments are for, right? To use. I know we think we all know that concept, but I think we also like to hoard things and or forget about that we have certain things and like, oh yeah, I forgot I have this, that, or the other, you know, or whatever. And also don't be afraid to put paper on here too, because I have sentiment pieces that I'm going to also use. Oh, is that where that paper went? I wonder where that went. I have sentiment pieces that I am planning on using. They're in this drawer. Just to add a little something to it when I'm done. Like even if I just add one word or something like that, we'll get to that part in a minute. But I'm going to add a little something on here and just put something on here. I'm going to, again, do the same thing like I did with the fabric, kind of play with it first, and then decide if that's where I want it to be ultimately. I'm trying to look for other little things. Let me grab some buttons I have over here. Are they in here? Oh, there they are. I have a little jar of vintage buttons I keep. I have a bunch of vintage buttons, but I keep a few by my desk in a little jar so I can get to them and be able to use them. Because, you know, it doesn't have to be vintage buttons. You can use any buttons, you know. It doesn't have to be special buttons. If you have some vintage buttons, great. If you don't, just use whatever buttons you have. Whoa, they almost fell in my lap. That's not cool. So I could pick up some of the blue out of that fabric. Maybe this one might be a better color. So let's see, I've got those buttons. This one, is it metal? I think it's like, yeah, aluminum. I'll have to pull the thing off, the shank off of that if I use it. I was going to put it in the middle of this, but I can't without pulling the shank off. So maybe this one's another aluminum one. This one kind of goes nice on there though. I might use that instead of this because that one seems to kind of, it's just a matter of figuring out where I'm going to place them. I like to do little groups of buttons. This is a shell button here. I kind of like that one too. I want that. Too big. I want the little ones. Something like that. I kind of like that. Or I can do. Let's see. I'll do a couple on that side. Yeah, I can do something like that. Or just kind of, maybe not. Maybe I'll just leave those and that one. Okay. You have to play to see what you like, you know? It's one of those things where it's kind of like, if you don't play around and, you know, you can't experiment with what you got and see what works best for you. So this is a vintage, a really, really vintage old button. It's really pretty. It looks, it's very ornate looking. It's not very heavy. Luckily it should stick pretty well with the hot glue because it's got a kind of rusty textured back of it, so it's not really smooth. Let's see, I'll stick this one down. I love vintage buttons. They are fun to play with. I just had some I sold in my auction on Sunday. I do an auction every 2 weeks, and I just did one Sunday and sold, I think, like 8 bags of vintage buttons. If you've never been to my auction, I do them every 2 weeks. So since I just did one this past Sunday on the 12th, was that? I'll do another one in 2 weeks from then on Sunday. Okay, that's really cute. I kind of like that a lot. Let's see, anything else I can think of to put on there before I decide that's enough. Which this might just be enough, actually. Oh, I have an idea. So, let's see. Let me grab my little box, which I'm not sure where I stuck it. Oh, there it is. A little Altoid tin. I also have these tiny little doilies too, which are also good for using for things like this. You can find them, you know, anywhere. Like if you cut apart something like a crocheted tablecloth or a crocheted something or other, doily, usually the ones that are made up of tiny doilies, you can cut them apart, which works really well. I have these, I sell these little clips in my store, these little bulb clips, and they're kind of vintagey looking. And so you could take something and clip it onto, I have charms. So maybe I have a little charm that I can clip that's kind of on the vintagey side, that I can clip to the charm and stick down. Oh, maybe this little key or the butterfly. Let me see if I can stick and see. Achoo! Achoo! Oh, sorry. Sorry, I'm a sneezy. There's this little heart here. That's kind of cute. Simple. And you can just hook it on. And it doesn't matter which side it's on. And then you can just find a place to put it. Which way would I say that would be the top of it, kind of. So I'm just going to hook this in here like so. Hook already. There we go. And then poke that through. There we go. So there, we got that on there. Little doodad, right? Cute, isn't it? And then we can take a little sentiment and just like shove it on there. Just shove it on there. All right, let's see. I have one in mind. It's daytime. It's the morning, so the dogs are. Usually I'm in bed, but I felt like I needed to be awake for a little while, as I typically do. So I have a little thing that says explore, dream, discover, and if I make it, and that's another thing, if you have those Tim Holtz tiny chat, big chat, those type of things, one thing you can do with those is, if you have a scanner, you could scan them, and you can put them, once you scan the picture, take it into a Word document, and then you can make it a little bigger, a little smaller, so you can have big ones, because I have ones that are this big, and I have them in this size. So I've made, I've taken them and scanned them so that I can, adjust the size of them so that I can have them a little bigger or a little smaller, or what have you, because I like some versatility. So let's ink that a little bit so it kind of goes with the rest of what we're doing here. I might actually ink it with this and kind of go over the top of it. This one's my one that's like really, really dry. It doesn't have much to it, so it almost gives a tea dye look to it when it's dry and you just start wiping it over things. Well, it's hard to see on camera. It's going to white it out a lot, but let's see. Will it focus? And that's a no. But trust me, it looks tea-dyed. It's just hard to tell because this thing doesn't like to focus on it. Oh, and I think I shut the autofocus off, so duh, that would help. If that was turned on, that would be helpful. So since there is a little blue, I want to exploit the blue that's in there. Grab a blue color of ink from somewhere in here. Let's see, I don't want a real dark one. I did have like a slatey blue in here somewhere. Is that it? I think this one would kind of work as long as I don't make it too dark. Ooh, this might be... it's not too bad. Maybe it won't be. Yeah. I'm just going along the edges. It's a little dark, but it'll darken it up with that blue, dark blue. I'm not one to use too many, like, you know, a lot of people like, I was talking about this the other night. A lot of people use black or brown. I like to use a couple different ink colors when I'm inking something. I don't like to stick to one ink color. Sometimes I'll go in a little further with a lighter color or like a more neutral color, and then I will take a darker color or just a different color or a brighter color and like go over it as well. Explore, dream, and discover. Should it go there? Or should it go down here? Let's see. Just got to play around with it for a second. You should never spend too much time on something. I think I liked it up here. Don't spend, hours and hours, like if I'll put this is what I do. I mean, you don't have to do what I do because I know everybody's different and has their own way of doing things, but if you're somebody that is not happy with the fact that you have a tendency to take a long time to do something, and definitely put it down with some hot glue because it'll adhere to the fabric a little better and you won't have to sit there and hold it. Just put a little bit on the back and that's all you need. But if you're somebody who has a hard time with just throwing something together, give yourself some sort of a rule where you're like, only allowing yourself like 10 seconds to make a decision. Don't give yourself, tons of time to make a decision. You're just going to have to find confidence in whatever it is and give yourself 10 seconds to make a decision on where something goes. Try one spot, move it to another spot quick. Just pick one of the spots and be done with it and just go with it. Have confidence and just go with it. And a lot of people will be like, well, I can't. You can. You really can. You just have to jump out of that box and stop listening to your brain and just put it down. It's just scraps. I say this about the mixed media mashup that we do on Wednesdays. It's just paper. These are nothing expensive or fancy. These are scraps. It doesn't matter. It can always be played with later, or if, you know what I mean? Like, it'll always come out fine. You know what I mean? Like, it's not rocket science. It's just crafts. So don't allow it to get into your brain so much that makes it complicated and stressing you out. And because if you allow something to stress you out so much, you're allowing it to like take over your brain. And when you do that, it can make matters a lot worse. You know what I mean? It doesn't usually help anything. It's going to make things worse. And then down the line, you might end up, getting burnt out on crafting quickly because you've had to deal with, every time you sit down, having an issue with where to place things. And then it gets to the point where you almost dread or resent crafting because it becomes something stressful for you instead of enjoyable. And that's never good, you know. That's something that, you know, you can avoid doing by putting some things in place. You know, make that your goal for 2020 is to force yourself. I mean, anything that you want to change about yourself is never going to be easy. Nobody said it's going to be easy. So you know what I mean? Like, nothing you change about yourself is ever easy. It's always going to be something that's uncomfortable. Always. But you have to do that. If you want to change, you have to go through the uncomfortable part. And that's with anything. But like, especially with crafting, it's no different. So if there's something about your crafting you want to change, you have to force yourself and be willing to do it. Luckily, with crafting, it's so much easier. I mean, think about it. You're not telling yourself you need to change your personality. You're just having to change a decision-making process that you have in your crafting. Like, okay, I need to be quicker and make a decision quicker. I need to work on that. And don't expect it to be an overnight process, but start giving yourself a limit. Even if it's 1 minute to start. Like, if you're somebody, because believe me, I used to do this. I would sit, and sometimes I catch myself still doing that every now and again, but I would sit and look at something for 40 minutes going, I can't find the right way to put this. I can't. And you get yourself worked up and frustrated, and then what do? You walk away because you're frustrated. And you're like, I'm done with this. I don't care. I don't want to do it. You know what I mean? And to avoid that, you know, start putting a, you know, 1 minute, like, just, even if you have to put a timer on, get yourself one of those little dollar store digital timers. Use your phone. There's a timer on it. And if you're feeling frustrated, just put a timer on and just go, I have 1 minute to make a decision, and who cares? And at that point, force yourself. You know what I mean? Start off 1 minute, 2 minutes. I wouldn't go any further than that, but, you know, start forcing yourself to make decisions, because in the long run, it'll be better for your crafting. Ooh, let's use some of this. I have this piece of an old pillowcase. So let's try that. I've got some tulle with threads hanging all over it. Ooh, I've got a remnant pile of, I don't know why that's even in there. That's not really supposed to be in this bag, but okay, it's there, so we're going to play with it. And I've got that color too. We're just going to make all pink, because that's what's in this bag, apparently. Let's see, is there anything else? There's a little piece of that. Let's see. And I'm basically just going through this little, oh, I don't even know why that's in there either. That's really not supposed to be there, but I don't know. I must have went through a thing and just started throwing everything in here at one point. Let's see. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, I think I was throwing things in here, because this was probably the bag I was throwing stuff into the last time I was making little embellishments, and I was using up some fabric and stuff that I had, which I just got a bunch of fabric all over me. Okay, so let's see. I've got this really pretty fabric here. I want to make a journal cover out of it, so I'm only allowing myself to use little bits off of it. So it's really not scraps, but, you know, it is what it is. Let's see. I don't think I'm going to use that one. I think I'm going to still, because I want the base to be a little bit sturdy, I might use, and I could use this, but I kind of want to use this as a top piece. I might grab my little piece of this, which was a little sturdier fabric. Get that out of the way for a minute. And use it as like just a base. You're not even going to really see it at all. So I just cut myself a strip off of there. And then I can throw that back down there. And I'll just take a, do like a wonky rectangle-y thing. Okay. And then what I'll do is, I don't need to fray that because I ain't worried about that piece so much. It's just that I want to put this like satin, silk, whatever it is. I think it's satin. Pillowcase, a piece of this down. And I think I'm just going to cut into it because it's just a remnant piece of fabric, so I wasn't using it for anything special. Let's see, to cut it along the seam. So this is like a fun little thing you could do, just sitting around watching TV or putting some videos on and just play and just plop some fabric down, you know, and don't think about it. Just enjoy yourself. It's more fun when you don't think about it. I promise, if you give it a try of the whole not thinking about what you're putting down, do you know what I mean? If you just try it, I promise you'll enjoy it. It's already crinkly, and I'm going to trim it after I glue it down a little bit. This one's a little crinkly, so I'm going to try to hold it a little flat and just do like a couple small stripes and kind of just plop it down. I should have let it be crinkly and just kind of crinkled it purposely, because the hot glue might show through a little bit, but that's okay because we're going to have other layers on it, so it doesn't matter really. Doesn't matter. It'll work. It'll just add to the distressing of the piece. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? So this way, if I put it on top of this thicker fabric, it'll add just a little bit of extra oomph. And I'm just going to loosely cut it around. Not really caring too much about perfection or anything. We're just going to loosely cut it so it still kind of hangs over just a little bit. There. Now I have some extra little boogers here, that, not necessarily that little piece. You can keep these, and there's something we are going to do with pieces sort of like that in the near future. But I'm not going to worry about it today. But keep, you know, these size, definitely. My hands are dry. I'm just going to put a little lotion on them, because when I touch my hands together, it makes me feel like that feeling, you know, when your hands are like really dry. It's just kind of freaking me out. I don't like it. Okay, good deal. Okay, so now we can grab a piece of, another thing I like putting besides the eyelash trim as like a staple trim to my pieces is tulle. I love pieces of tulle on my items. Like I throw that on top, and see, there you go, like any little spots that you could see from the hot glue. Well, this will kind of mask all that away. So I'll do it this way, and I'll cut a piece off and get rid of the string. And the tulle, how you put that down, you might think, well, how do you hot glue that down? Well, that, you wait until you hot glue the next piece on, so that your tulle just will automatically kind of stick. And I usually just kind of jagged cut the end. You know, I like everything to look kind of wonky and jagged, and I don't want anything to, so I just sit there and hack at it. Basically, it's like when a little kid, you know, cuts their Barbie's hair and they just kind of hack the crap out of it. That's kind of what I'm doing. I'm hacking the crap out of my tulle. I might just save that big piece, but not the little ones. That's kind of what I'm doing, is just hacking it, and then I can adjust it later too. I can hack at it more if I want to, or whatever. So I'm just giving it a little hack job. Put that on there. Already we got some sparkle and yumminess. Okay, so now we've got this. So since this is sitting here, we could take a piece of this. We can obviously fray that a little bit because it's meant for that pretty much. And we can probably put a piece of that down. Now, let's see. Let's grab let's hack job a piece of this off. Let's see. This real pretty fabric. Somebody had given this to me in a Happy Mail a couple years ago, and I can't remember who, but I really like it. And I want to make a journal cover with it, which is why I held on to it for so long. Alright, so I want part of that butterfly on there, so I might take that, and obviously I'm going to cut it down a little bit. And yes, I will keep the the pieces that I cut off of it. Alright, now we're going to take our little tool and we're going to start fraying it all nice. But I mean, you want to enjoy yourself and you want to have fun while you're doing it, and you don't want it to be stressful, and it shouldn't be stressful. I've said it before and I'll say it again, 90% of us crafters are not here doing this to be, for art that's going to go in the Smithsonian. And we're always going to be our own critic, and we have to like, how about we like learn to accept that we are going to be critical of what we do and pack that away and just bye. And you know what I mean? Because we're always going to be critical. So what are we going to do? Constantly criticize everything we do and never show it to anybody and be afraid of it? What fun is that? Ooh, that's good time. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it sucks the fun out of crafting when if somebody wants to see your work, if you feel like you have to make an explanation to them before you show it to them, if you feel anxiety to show somebody your artwork, if you feel like every time somebody says, "Ooh, I want to see what you're working on," and you go, "Oh, but, well, it's not really done. Well, it's not very good. If that's your kind of attitude, how about we use 2020 to get rid of that? New decade, new view on that, and start having a little confidence that what we're doing is okay. You don't have to agree that it's great and it's fabulous, but at least be okay with it. Just be okay. That's a start. Because the whole like, oh, I'm afraid. If you've been crafting for more than 6 months, and you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no reason to be afraid. Or especially some of us who have been doing it for 5-10 years. Come on. It's time to kiss that goodbye. Because, it's done. You know what I mean? It's done. It's kind of like, I almost want to say, like, let's grow up. Because we're now adults in the crafting. We're more experienced. We're not little kids anymore who are afraid of our own shadow. Let's grow up and let that be gone. Let that part of us be gone. We should be, as you get older, you should be more confident in what you're doing. So, let's let go of that whole need for, oh no, I'm afraid of what I'm doing. I'm afraid somebody's not going to like it. Who gives a rat's ass if somebody doesn't like it? And who in the craft community is ever going to say that to you in the first place? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know anybody that says, "Oh, that's terrible." Nobody in my group, never. You know what I'm saying? Like, whoever would tell you that? Nobody's going to say that. 99.999999999% of the time. I would almost say 100% of the time. People are going to say, "That's really awesome. You did a great job." And I'm not saying there's being disgenuine about it. How do you say that word? Disingenuine? I don't know. Words are hard. I'm not saying they're not being honest, because they're like, oh, they're 99, they're just going to say it's good. I don't mean it that way. I mean that most people see what other people do as good. And most people have an admiration for anybody that shows their work, does the work, tries anything. I know I do. I don't care if somebody, isn't very, is a novice and isn't very experienced with crafting, and maybe, they do something that's, maybe not up to the same expertise as maybe me or somebody else. I don't care. I look at what they do and I'm like, I'm incredibly amazed that they dove in and tried. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's how most people in the craft community feel. Like, I'm always just happy somebody tried. And I always see the progress, and I like seeing the progress of people that go from not knowing very much to learning and learning and learning and trying new things and pushing the boundaries and keep showing their work and be happy with what they do, even if it's not perfect, because what else, you know, I mean, what else is there to do but be happy with what you do? You know what I mean? You can't just keep using the same thing over and over again of, oh, I don't want to show anybody because it's not good. And come on. No, come on. That's not enough. We can do better than that. You know what I mean? Like, I know that the people that say that usually are the ones that do really good work too. We have to trust ourselves and be happy with what we're doing. And I want this specific middle piece out of here. So I'm going to cut it to get it. Ooh, do I want that one? You know what? I'll take a little bit of that and a little bit of that. Because I'm going to somehow plop this down. Maybe I'll make like a little bow thing with it, or a little something. I don't know. Maybe I'll make a little tassel-y thing coming down, and I'll add more pieces to it. I could do that. Is that upside down? No, that's fine. I could do it like that. And I can put it going like that. And yeah, I think I'll do that. But first let me tack down up this way, up yonder. But I know that most of you do great work, and you should have more confidence in what you do. And, you know, even if you don't want to show it to somebody, at least be happy with what you're doing. Because why do it then if you're not happy with what you're doing? You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why, you know, if you're not happy with it and you're never happy with it, then why are you doing it? You know, you got to have some confidence and be okay with what you're doing in order for you to grow as an artist. Because if you're not letting yourself be happy with what you're doing, you can't possibly move forward very easily. You know what I mean? Like, it's always going to stifle your creativity if you're miserable with what you're doing every time you do it. You know, if you're always like humming and hawing about everything you do, it's ultimately going to stifle your creativity and make it more and more difficult for you to, you know, get anything done or ever feel confident in anything that you do. All right, I think I'm going to put 2 pieces of that and then find maybe some sort of trim to follow up with that or something. Let's see what we got in here. Some sort of eyelash trim, or here we go. Here's a piece here. Stick that in there. What else? What else we got in here? I've got a light pink piece. Get back here. But there's nothing to be afraid of. When you're doing your, you know, crafts or what have you, you know, there's nothing to be afraid of. There's, you know, hurricanes and tornadoes and earthquakes and fires and all those things are to be afraid of. Crafting is not that. You know what I mean? Don't allow it to be that. Don't allow it to control you like that, because that's what it's doing. When you're getting, you know, worked up and upset with what you're making, you're allowing that to take residence in your brain as a fear. And that's a really bad idea. You know what I mean? Because the whole point of crafting is to escape all the BS that's going on. You know what I mean? It's not to add more stress and add more fear to your life because you're not happy with whatever you're doing. So don't allow it to add more fear and stress to your life. Force yourself to make sure that it's, you know, you're finding a way to come to grips with, oh boy, don't screw this up now. I think I kind of got it tacked down. I know I didn't get the eyelash trim very well, but I'll do that. I was trying to get underneath the sari ribbon here initially. off my finger. But this is supposed to be your relaxation, your fun, your good times. And that's really hard to do if you're, you know, if you're stressing out over where to put everything and how to do it. And, oh no, you know, I can't do that. And, you know, this is, I think you almost psych yourself out sometimes. At least I know I have. You kind of like, sometimes you'll get in your own head so badly that, you know, you almost don't, you start poo-pooing the project before you even start it. I've done that. Where you're like, you know, just haven't even really gotten anywhere yet, and you're already coming up with ways in your head that it's going to go wrong. And things do go wrong, and that's okay. And it's okay to get frustrated sometimes. It really is okay to get frustrated. I'm not saying you should never get frustrated sometimes, but, you know, because I'm definitely guilty of that. But you have to always make it a work in progress where you're trying not to get frustrated, because it's going to happen anyway. And don't beat up on yourself because it happens and be like, damn it, see, I got myself frustrated, because everybody gets frustrated, and it's okay. But if you're finding yourself getting frustrated to the point where you're not wanting to craft, or it's kind of consuming your, you know, your crafting ability, you know, making it so you don't want to work on your projects because, you know, that same thing's going to keep happening, then that might be, you know, it's a good time to maybe start just saying whatever, you know. And I found that. I was like, I looked at it, it was in the little drawer, and it's like got a clear front on it, and I said, what is that? I bet you that's a thing. It's a thing. I think I'm going to attach it on with a little pink clip that I have. I'm not going to use the whole thing, but I'm going to attempt to, I think I have to close off an end. Oh, that one's closed off better. And maybe a charm as well. I have a pink key over here, and that's been eyeballing. I've been eyeballing that key. I think I need to put this on first, and then this, so that then I can hook it onto here, which it may not go through that side. I kind of want it to go through that side, but there we go. Stick it over there. It's fine. And it's just kind of just sticking it anywhere and being like, okay, that's good, you know. All right, let's take it off here. I need my tool. I need a tool. Let's see. I might need my glasses, or else my eyes are gonna go crisscrossed. Crisscross applesauce. Cool. Cute. Look how cute. And I don't know which way it goes. That way. Maybe it goes that way. I don't know. Doesn't care. It doesn't matter. But I need to put something else on it now. Let's see. Let's see. What else can we put on there that's, you know, like a little flower bit or something? I have some flowers. Oh, maybe I can put one of these in like this color here, or up here. That's a good idea. Stick one there. Maybe I can stick one down there too. One there. Maybe. Maybe. Let's see. Where are my flowers at? Where are my flowers at? I also have like this little pink one too, but maybe not. Oh, there's my flowers. Right there, I have some little flowers. You can just toss a flower or two on there. I have these little pink ones. I might have better, a little bit bigger flowers might be a little better, I think. And maybe a couple small ones. even if you don't have exactly the same stuff that I do, or, you know, I know all of us have stuff. You know what I mean? We all have crap laying around. Improvise with what you have. You know, you might not have what I have, and I don't have what you have, because you probably have cooler stuff even, you know. And it's just waiting to be used. And if you're like me and you have a tendency to hoard things, maybe that needs to change too this year. I know it does for me. Although I did start not hoarding last year. I started that, and it kind of worked for me. It's a little big for that doily. That's the only problem. Unless I moved it and put it a little over to the side of it. Or did like this and kind of put it in the center. And then put a couple of smaller flowers. Yeah, we could do that. Like that. Stay down. Stay down, dude. And then we could put a couple of these over here. You know, and stuff like that. Something of that nature. Maybe I could put a little thing here. Or I know I want something in that corner too. I might have a button. I don't know if I'll have the way that one matches, but there's another one in here that won't come out. Come here, fool. There's that one. Like that one. This one's, I just dropped that on the floor. This one's not as vintage enough for that, for the buttons to be too tattered. But I know I have another button that I can use. Put it in there. Let's make a mess. Let's make a mess. That's Dawn's channel. That's not my channel. Her channel is Let's Make a Mess Today. Where are those little... Oh, there we go. Wait, I'll put it back here. Those are red, but they might work just fine. There might be something in there. Or actually, and this one, yeah, an off-white colored buttony thing. If I can get to it, goodness. Can I reach in? There we go. That's better. That's kind of good. I like that idea. Okay, so we got buttons on that side, flowers on this side. We'll do those two doilies together. Actually, wait a minute. There was a bigger doily in there. Let me try that. I didn't even think of that. Duh. I think there was a bigger... This one's a little bigger. Let me see. Is that the biggest one? Nope. This one's bigger too. Grab one of these suckers. See which one of those we like. Oh, look at that. There we go. Then we can throw a couple of these dooders along with it. Which one do I like better? That one or that one? I like that one actually. Okay. That's what we'll do. Sure thing. Works for me. Some buttons down. Take doily. Our little doily. Start it by doing that and go around a little bit and get some of these little doohickey sides so that it stays down nice and nice. And throw this one on there and shove it in the middle. Maybe we could put these over here. Didn't think of that. Add some flowers with the boutons. And it's just time to shove some crap. Let's see. Maybe another flower. I have these hot pink little suckers. Come on now. Just kind of weave them in there. Cute. Oh my goodness, that's cute. Isn't that cute? It's so cute. I likes it. I ain't afraid to say I like it. Let's see. I need one. Let's see. So we could put something right in there. Right in there. There we go. Excuse me, flower. Today's not the day. I have a no hanging onto scissors policy. Let's see. I love sentiments. I put sentiments on everything, as you might well know. It counts as my reading. I don't read, so I don't read books. Instead, I put sentiments on things and read those. Creativity takes courage. It doesn't really take courage. It just takes, well, not as much courage as it is just not giving a crap what anybody thinks. Which I guess is, yeah, I guess that's kind of a courage in a sense. If you were to go to Oz and have the great and wonderful Oz give you a something, it can be the ability to, not like the Cowardly Lion, but maybe not that kind of courage where you're, you know, but you can have Oz give you the ability to not give a crap about what other people says. That's not the proper way to say anything. What other people say. Let's put it over here. Creativity takes courage. Actually, I should probably go a little bit over a little further. Yeah. Or, I'll check it out over here quickly. Nope. What about here? I don't want to cover my butterfly too much, but that's okay. Oh, I could do it like that. Yeah, that's better. Okay, that works. I need some ink. We're going to take some of this pinkish color, just give it a whirl. See, now I went further in on the edges on that pink color, which, wow, that doesn't even show up on camera. I love that. I love that my camera washes it out. And there's plenty of color on it too. That's the weird thing. But I go into the center a little bit, and then I take, I'm going to take the hot pink and go along the very edge. So it gives like a two-tone color effect. Let's see. If I can find the hot pink. There it is. I think a different one or just that one. Yeah, that's good. I'll just use this one. I'm just going to touch it to the outside a little bit. Just to give it a little more pop. And then we need our hot glue. Do it that way. Creativity. Takes. We're not going to worry about how it gets put down. We're just going to put it. Courage. Just like that. And voila. Now you might think to yourself, well, what the hell are you going to do with these? Well, whatever you want. I mean, these would make great, you know, for in the inside of a journal. Even though this one's a little on the bigger side, it would be a great journal cover. You can send it to somebody as it is. You could put it on a card front, like a card that's, you know, in portrait, no, landscape mode. You can make this the front of the card and just put a nice, you know, piece of paper behind it and make a card out of it. Why not? You know what I mean? This can go on the inside of a journal for sure and go like on a pocket or on like a, you know, made into a tuck spot. If you put a piece of paper on the back of it, you can totally make that into a cool tuck spot. You know what I mean? And we didn't sew anything, and they're, you know, they look kind of like that sewn because all the tattered threads and stuff, it gives that kind of feeling of something that's sewn. You know what I mean? So, I mean, how cool are they? I love them. So get out your scraps and play. Don't be afraid to just play. I mean, I've only been playing for, you know, like an hour, and I made these two pretty things. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's, you know, I don't think an hour is too long to sit and get some pretty stuff done. You know? It's fun. So I hope that inspired you to, you know, not forget about your scraps, because we all have them. And if you don't have fabric scraps yet, you know, get some. Start saving them when you do something with fabric, you know, or, you know, get some fabric that's not scraps yet that you're not really using and that's just sitting around, and just use the fabric. You know, if you have fabric and you're like, well, I like the fabric, but I don't sew, and you've been hoarding it because you think maybe you're going to sew someday, screw that. Put that behind you and just get it out and start playing with it. Because if you have the fabric and you enjoy the fabric and you like the fabric, but you're not doing anything with the fabric, well, then there's nothing wrong with cutting a few strips off of it and utilizing it. You know what I mean? Utilize it. Grab some hot glue and some buttons and stupid crap and some flowers and go for it. So I hope this inspires you to have some fun and let loose a little bit. And yeah, I guess I will see you later because I'm going to get off of here now. But make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed. Give my video a thumbs up if you don't mind. Hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell next to the subscribe button so that you can get notifications of when I do videos and go live, because I do live streams a lot. So, you know, you can come hang out with us when we do lives, because I do all kinds of stuff like this and other things when we do live streams. So, you know, it might be fun to come check it out. On Wednesdays, we do Mixed Media Mashup, which is a lot of fun if you've never tried it. But yeah, come check it out. And if you wouldn't mind sharing this video, you know, if you know somebody or a group of people that have scraps or, you know, might enjoy this video, share it with them. I'd appreciate it. Have a good day, everybody, and make sure you do what you love and love what you do, and be nice to people, and I will see you later. Bye.